This is part 4 of my trash compactor tutorial, and in here we're going to concentrate on the trash creatures coming out of the oil and attacking you. So if you can get your creativity toy menu open, and we're going to go and select the option enemy wave generator. So go to your creativity toys, and we're looking for the enemy wave generator. Now, although these are like monsters, they're just one of the normal groups. So if I just pick the group, there you go, enemy wave generator, and we're going to line that up with the rest of our other logic gates. Okay, so this is our next stage. So we've got the focus. Those relate to the collapsing walls. This one relates to the creatures to appear. Now, the other one I need to go with this is a logic gate, because this is what I'm going to trigger the enemy wave to appear, and I also want to be able to disable the gate. So once I've triggered them, I don't want to carry constantly triggering creature after creature. So you need the logic gate to go with it, especially in this particular clip. So we've got those set up. And the other option we're going to need are locators. Where do we want these creatures to spawn within the trash compartment? So I need to grab my locators, and we're going to use 6 in this particular clip. And we're just going to space them out quite randomly in the place. I say randomly, I'm doing it quite evenly in my 6 places. It doesn't have to be exact, but I'm just putting 6 locators in where I want the enemy to appear. Yeah, so the creatures are going to appear in those areas. Now, once you've got those set up, what you now need to do is you now to link your enemy wave generator to those points. So I'm just going to jump into spark mode by pressing my R1 button, and I'm going to point to my enemy wave generator and press the square button, and I'm going to choose new locator connection, and I'm then going to point to one of those locators. So press on there and connect to that locator. So when you do it, it says spawn location, and you'll see the link between the two. I now need to do that for all the other options, so I'm going to do new location connector and do the next point. And you'll see that I do this for each one, but this is where I want the enemies to appear. So spawn location, come back, and I got it every single time. Be careful not to rush this, because you'll end up deleting objects, and if you delete walls that you've set up, you're only going to go slightly mad and insane, which I have done a number of times trying to put this thing together. Right. New logic connection, a new locator connection, so not logic connection, new locator connection. So each one, square button, new locator connection, move across and select each individual item. And we'll do the last and final one. Okay, so that's where we want these creatures to appear. That's now set up, and the enemy wave wave generator is now set up. So if we go into that item and press square, we want to go to the properties of it. As we go down, before we go to properties, we want to go to configure wave, and we want to specify which creatures we want to use. And depending on what toy set you got, you would have unlocked different stormtroopers depending on how you played in those play sets. But the nice thing is, the creature that we want is a Disney Infinity 2 character. So I'm just going to add in 8 of these items in, but you should be able to unlock this straight from the store. You don't need to have a play set to do that, so it's not an issue there. And I've picked 8 because just because we've got 6 locators, you don't need to have 6 enemies. You can have more than that if you want to. Now, I've just come back and gone into the property setting, and the only thing I want to take off is the delay. I want them all to appear all at the same time, so I put generate wave to be 0. Okay, so that is now set up, ready to go. So what we'll do is we want to input a signal into that logic gate. That logic gate says, right, we are happy to start this. So when an output comes from there into the enemy wave generator, I want that to start the message, but that is our starting point. So I'm going to point to that logic gate, do square on output. Can we point to the enemy wave generator, and can we do generate wave? Okay, so that logic gate is our starting point. We'll now send the creatures off to attack us. So that there is our starting point here. So the only thing I need to do now is to test this. So using one of my other buttons, we've already got 2 before for our different areas. So we've got our 3rd button now that's going on. And at some point in my clips, you'll see us delete all these buttons out, so don't worry about that. I'm going to put my 3rd button there, set that up there, so it's that button. And what we're going to do is we're just going to test this. This is what's going to get the creatures to appear on the screen. So on that button there, when new logic connection, when pressed, go all the way across and input a signal into our logic gate. So we go to input, that will then fire the signal through and get our enemies to generate. So if we now come out of our spark mode, let's come out of it, and like I say, try it out. They should all appear around us when I hit that button. And they presto, they all appear. And as you see, 2 of them appear together, so it doesn't matter that there are more creatures than there are logic gates, but that all seems to have worked. So if you remember my first clip, I gave you the overview of what the clip does. So we've got the creatures appear, we've then got the walls collapsing, we then got the doorway opening. So the thing that triggers the whole thing off are the actual enemy wave generator. Okay, that's the bit that kills the enemy. So once they're dead, that then starts the trigger of all the other elements. So what we're going to do now is link that to the closing walls. So although the enemy wave generator wasn't the first thing we made, it is actually everything that is triggered from that outcome, from those enemies appearing. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm just going to go back into my spark tool, because what we want to say here is that when we actually start from here and we actually trigger the enemies off, the enemies appear first. So when they are actually deleted, yeah, so it hits that gate and it fires that message through. But when we destroy the enemy, that's when I want the walls, and this logic gate here is what triggers all the collapsing walls to start to occur. So they only happen when we defeat the enemy, because in the meantime I don't want too much things going across. So on here, if I go to my enemy wave generator, if I specify here, if I do new logic connection, when we defeat the wave, so when wave defeated, we've done this part of the story, can I input this signal, and I would like you now to operate and input and make the walls start to collapse. So we've just come out of one disaster into the other. Okay, so the user is going to go from one job to the next. What do I do next? And if I show you on the next clip, we're going to show you how to do the door. And what we're going to do there is that you can't open the door yet until you've done another stage. So it gives them options in the way the game works. So the enemy wave generator, when that wave is defeated, can you now make the walls collapse? Now we don't need to test that now, we know that works, but if we go to our next clip, which is looking how to do the trash compactor door and how to open that depending on the logic of the enemy wave generator. Hope you found this of use so far, and thanks for watching. Cheers guys.